B.S.Abdur Rahman University, earlier known as B.S.Abdur Rahman Crescent Engineering College.
Hello everybody. Today we are going to start a session on introduction of instruction set of 8085 microprocessor. So before I start my session, can I ask you, all of you, to take your pen out? You did it? Good. So you did a task, right? Why did you do it? Because I instructed to do. I instructed you to do it. So you took it. So the medium of language that I spoke was understandable by you, and I know that you would understand it. So the task is to take your pen out. You took it. That's all instruction is all about. So now, to be very specific, why we took 8085 microprocessor is, so 8085 is the base to all the advanced microprocessors. So whatever processor that you are using, the base is 8085 microprocessor. So we have to understand the ABCD of microprocessor. So that is why I am going to handle this particular session. So what I am going to do is, I am going to take you to the introductory part of 8085 instruction set. So to know it, you have to know the basic number system that your system would use. Your basic number system would be digits, binary digits. Digits in the sense, it can be either 1 or it can be either 0, that is bit. If you want to know the data format or data strength of your bits, you can have 4 bits if you combine, right? 4 bits if you combine, you call that as a nibble. What is it? Nibble. 4 bit combined together. You have combination from 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1, 1. So you have plenty number of combination. So if you have 4 bits together, you call it as a nibble. So next, if you have another 4 bit together, that is, you have 2 nibbles, you have one more nibble over here. If you have 2 nibbles, you call it as a byte. What is it? Byte. You call it as a byte. So next question, what happens if I have one more byte? You call it as a word. What is it? You call it as a word. So if you have 2 words, you call it as a double word, and it goes so on. So now you understood what is a bit, what is a nibble, what is a byte, and what is a word. Now in 8085 instruction, there are 2 parameters in every instruction. So this is your instruction. There are 2 parameters in every instruction. The first parameter is your opcode. The second parameter is your operand. So 2 component in an instruction, one is called the opcode, other one is called the operand. So now what is opcode, what is operand? So opcode is the operational code. What do you mean by operational code is, the task to be performed is called opcode. The task to be performed is called opcode. Operand, the data to be operated is called operand. The data to be operated is called operand. So sounds weird. I'll tell you, I'll explain you. So now for example, let us add 3 plus 4, right? This is your task. What you are doing, the task is to add. The task is to add. So addition is the task. What are you adding? 3 and 4. So the data that is operated is 3 and 4. Now we will merge with the opcode and operand. The task to be performed is called opcode. So addition is the task. The data to be operated, that is 3 and 4 are the data. The data to be operated is called the operand. Very clear? The task to be operated is, the task to be done is addition. The data to be operated is 3 and 4. Now every instruction will have an opcode and an operand. So if your instruction is classified according to word size, so classification of instruction according to word size, right? You know what is word right now. So classification of instruction according to word size, you have three major classification, very simple to remember. It is 1 byte, 2 byte and 3 byte. 1 byte instruction, 2 byte instruction and 3 byte instruction. So, now what all the instruction comes under the category of 1 byte, what are the instruction that comes under 2 byte and respectively 3. If any instruction in an 8085 microprocessor has both the operand and opcode, if an instruction has both the operand and the opcode in the same instruction, you call it as 1 byte instruction. For example, add B. So, this is one type of an instruction where the explanation of the instruction is like add the content of the A register and the B register and store the result in A register. What you are doing? You are storing the result in A register, you are storing. So, here the data to be operated and the task are both specified in the same instruction. So, that is called a 1 byte instruction. If you see any kind of instruction which has both the operand and opcode in the same instruction, you call it as a 1 byte instruction. Coming to 2 byte instruction, if you have, so every instruction will have an opcode because that is the task you have to do. So, every instruction will have an opcode. So, in a 2 byte instruction, you will have an opcode which is of 1 byte in size, and you will have an operand which is of 1 byte in size. You will have an opcode, always opcode, you will have 1 byte instruction and an operand which will be there in an instruction, but the size of the operand would be 1 byte. So, for example, if I am going to say the same instruction, I will take it like this, add with the data 70, ADI 70. ADI in the sense you are going to add immediately the data 70 to the A register, and whatever the result you will have, it would be stored in the A register. So, now this 70 is an A register, this 70 is a data, right. This 70 is a data which is of size 1 byte, and you have one more byte which is of opcode. So, you will have 1 byte for opcode and 1 byte for an operand. So, if you see that kind of instruction, it belongs to 2 byte instruction. And the third one is 3 byte instruction. What is it is? You will have an opcode which is of 1 byte, you will have an opcode which is of 1 byte, and you will have an operand which is of 2 byte. So, which is of 2 byte, you will have an opcode which is of 1 byte, you will have an operand which is of 2 byte. So, for example, you will have an instruction called LXIH, 4500. So, what does it say? You will have an opcode, you are going to load the content of HL register pair with 4500 data. So, here you will have the opcode for the loading, right, that is for 1 byte, and you will have an operand, this is your operand which is of 16 bit or 2 byte. So, if you find any instruction which has a 2 byte operand, that would belong to a 3 byte instruction. So, I will repeat, in 1 byte instruction you will have both opcode and operand in the same instruction. In 2 byte instruction you will have an opcode and an operand, but the condition is the operand should be in the size of 1 byte. In the 3 byte instruction you will have an opcode which is of 1 byte and you will have an operand which is of 2 byte. If I want to put it in a very simple manner for you to remember easily, I will say that you look into any instruction. If the instruction does not have any numbers in it, any numbers, right, you call that instruction as a 1 byte instruction. And you see a number, and if you see a number and if the size of the number, right, of the size of the data is only 1 byte, right, it is only 1 byte, it belongs to 2 byte instruction. And if you see the same data again which is of size of 2 byte, it is of 3 byte instruction, right. So, this is the summary of what you are going to see today. So, instruction set, introduction to instruction set of 8085 microprocessor, right. Thank you.